Hello, everyone. And it is Thursday. No, it's not Thursday. It's Tuesday. And I am here for Talks and Tea with me, Tonya Nicole. I'm very excited about today. So welcome aboard. Come on in and join the conversation as today we talk about intuition and how that resonates with you as being a leader. So what I need you to do, say hello, comment below if you have joined the room, and say hello and who you are, where you're coming from. And, go ahead, grab your tea. I know it's backwards, but what it says is be you, be kind. And I am going to take a sip today. I have a detox tea, and I love the yogi teas because they give little positive affirmations on them. And the yogi tea today says, your strength is your own knowledge. Deep thoughts by Yogi. So welcome on board to Talks and Tea with me, Tonya. Hey, Nick, good to see you. Welcome. Go ahead and grab your tea. Take a picture of you drinking your tea for tonight's Talks with Tea with me, Tonya Nicole. I'm going to take a sip of my tea that says be you, be kind, and then we're going to get started. As you're joining in, grab your tea. It's very hot. It's good. All right. So I'm drinking a detox tea because ever so often you just want to cleanse yourself out. It gives you a fresh start. It helps your body remove some toxins that are inside. And so go ahead and grab your tea. Share with me what you're drinking tonight. I'd love to hear it. So tonight we're going to talk about intuition. And this topic, as they all do, came out through a actual real live event where I really just got to thinking about that idea or the concept of intuition. So my question to you, have you ever had a feeling that something just wasn't right, that something was off, or that you should move in a different way or in a different manner, whether it was at home while you were leading your children, or whether it was by yourself, whether it was at work? Have you ever had that feeling? If you did, go ahead and share. When was the time you just knew, you couldn't quite put your finger on it, but you knew something was different and something just didn't sit well with you? Today we're talking about intuition, and that's exactly what it is. It is that feeling or that concept where your body and your brain is just triggering you that something is not what it seems, that something is off. And a lot of times people ignore intuition, and there are some times where people fall into intuition. I'm a woman of faith. I believe wholeheartedly, for me, intuition is a spiritual guide. There are some people who believe it's a consciousness, and there are some people who just believe it is a scientific thing that your body does just to give you a feeling that something isn't right. So comment to me. Did you all ever have intuition? Did you ever have a feeling that something was off? Tell me, what did you do about that? What was your reaction? So here's a quick story for me. Just the other night, so this is very recent, just the other night, I finished cooking, we cleaned up, we had our family time, and everyone went to bed for the evening. And something was just gnawing at me that I needed to go back to the kitchen to do something, but I knew I had done everything that I needed to do. So instead of going back, I simply got dressed, got in the bed, and I was asleep. Something still was a little off, but I just kind of chalked it up of, oh, things will be okay. Around midnight, I awakened and just kind of went to, I guess, use the restroom or whatever, just one of those turning. And I still had that feeling that something just wasn't right. I smelled something in the air, but I said, oh no, that's just your brain, Tonya. Go back to sleep. It's midnight. Go get a good night's rest. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, now this is very odd for me because even if I wake up in the morning, I don't wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I don't wake up as alert and awake as I did at this time. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, I awaken, fully awake, and I have a sense of a very strong smell in the house. And I decide to go and check the kitchen, which that intuition back the first 2 times told me to go do. When I went into the kitchen, as I'm walking through the hallway and as I got closer and closer, I'm just trying to run through my head. Am I going to come across a fire? What in the world could be in this kitchen that is causing me to just get pulled and pulled and pulled with the thought, so much so that I am waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, unable to go back to sleep? Lo and behold, you all, I had forgotten that I had put a tea on the stove. I had put a tea that was simmering on high on the stove since maybe about 8 o'clock at night, and it is now 3 o'clock in the morning. So as you can conclude, the water was completely gone. The pot was completely burned. There was a top on the pot that was completely seared. Thank goodness there was not a fire. But it was that close to being a fire. And that gave me this talk today. The intuition kept leading me back to something wasn't right. And it kept tugging at me and pulling at me to get up and go check the kitchen. That's what the feeling was. But I ignored it over and over and over. What could have been to our demise, not to be too morbid. But finally, when I was awakened with great abundance to get up and I could not go back to sleep, I finally listened and checked the kitchen. Now, mind you, just because I was up, it didn't mean that I had to go and check the kitchen, which is what I was being tugged to do. I could have gotten up and sat at my desk or worked in other things. But I finally listened to that intuition, and thank goodness I did. Because for this, it was to steer me away from danger. It was to protect the family. So here's where we are with you. What are you being tugged at and pulled at? And what is that thing that is that uneasy feeling that you can't quite put your finger on it, but that intuition is telling you something is not right, or you should be doing something different, or you should be moving in a different area? What is it that's pulling you? I'd love to hear your comments. Please comment below. What is the intuition that you've been having for so long? For some people, it may be just a matter of hours that you've had this intuition. Some people have been pulled at and tugged with the intuition their entire life. So what are you being pulled at what you should do? I'd love to hear your comments, but I also would like to offer you just a few different tips on what to do in order to follow through with intuition. Now, I know some of us can think, well, sometimes it's just a waste of time. Yeah, sometimes it could be a waste of time, but sometimes it could be something that can literally save your life, figuratively and literally. Yes, my house didn't burn down because I finally listened. However, for you out there, is it something different from a fire or for a burning? Is it something that you should be doing in your job? Is it a financial investment that you should be making? What is it that your intuition is pulling you at being a part of that you just keep resisting? So here are my tips for you to follow through with your intuition. First of all, understand what intuition is. As we said, it is that uneasy feeling. Something just doesn't feel right. It is unsettling because as you're moving forward, as you're trying to go in a different direction, something is just taking you back or pulling you to an area. So the first thing is to understand what intuition is. And I have my notes here, so I'm checking out just to make sure that I'm getting them right. The second thing is to listen. Listen to the warnings. For me, in this scenario, it wasn't just the matter of, Tonya, wake up, you're forgetting something, but I was being pulled and tugged to go check the kitchen. Sometimes it's make sure the doors are locked. Sometimes it's make sure, I don't know, as far as the outside realm. But sometimes it can have to do with, what are you doing with your business? What are you doing with your life? What decisions are being pulled at your religious organization? The question that's being asked is intuition always a negative? It's not. What intuition is a sense or feeling that something needs to happen, that you need to react in a certain way, that you need to move in a certain way, and that you need to take action. I think I just said that, but that you need to take action to something that you may not quite be able to put your finger on. If I'm standing in front of the stove, I can see that I need to turn the stove off. However, if I step away, as I did in this scenario, and I'm being pulled back to that area, even if I can't remember and don't know why, just listening to that warning or that alert that it's something there. The next thing is act and don't worry about your actions. What I mean by this now, bear with me. I don't mean just go buck wild with whatever you're deciding to do, but it is important that you go forth in acting. I hesitated. I pushed away. I resisted going and checking the kitchen. However, when I finally got up and I acted, all I had to do was walk in the direction and into the room where I was being called. The moment that I walked into the kitchen, I knew exactly why I was there. I remembered that I left the pot on the stove. I remembered exactly what I was doing. I remember when I did it in all exactness, every detail. However, if I would not have taken that first step to move in the direction of where I was being pulled, who knows what could have resulted. The question is being asked, is women's intuition stronger? Well, I can give an opinion on that, but I think, honestly, everyone has a different intuition. There's something called mother's intuition, women's intuition, father's intuition, parents' intuition, and there's even intuition with you as a leader, you as a business owner. What I think it is not stronger, but it is a matter of how in tune are you with the areas that you are being pulled into, and how are you willing to listen and respond. So not necessarily not necessarily a matter of stronger, but in yourself as willingness. And yes, someone said intuition is a spiritual matter, and that's definitely something that we hit on if you're a person of faith. And even if you're not, if you're a person that has a beliefs, intuition can be seen as a consciousness. Intuition can be seen as a spiritual guide. Even scientists, in doing some research to prepare for this topic, there are even scientists who have found a scientific background and support into what exactly intuition really is. So our first one was know what intuition is. The second one was listen. And the third one was act. Now this last one, and as you see the theme of all of these, is when it comes to intuition, realize when you need help to get started. And I say this so often because now I didn't need help to move into the kitchen. But when we're speaking metaphorically about that thing that is pulling you as to where you should be in life, where you should be with your profession, where you should be with leading your group and leading your team, what you have to do is not only take those first steps, but also search out someone who can guide you, coach you, and mentor you into becoming that person and standing into where you're being called to be. I think that is so important. Now, if you have a coach, that's wonderful. Coaches are people that are not just there just for the fun of it. It really depends on what you're looking for. You don't just want one coach for everything in life. If you are looking for finances, if you're being called to do something with your finances, maybe it's an investment that you feel is kind of tugging on your intuition. Well, then you want to find an expert in finances. If you are looking and being pulled into building your own home, or maybe participating in a service organization to build a home, well, you want to find a coach or an expert who works on building homes, or look into an organization that really hones in on that matter. Now, if you're looking in leadership, if you're being pulled and tugged at making your team stronger, how to lead them effectively, well, then what you're looking for is a coach in order who is an expert on leadership and team building. We'll put in right there, hashtag Tonya Nicole. But all of these different things, you want to be put in a place where you can effectively lead. The question is asked, what is the role of parents in coaching their children? And a lot of times, parents, we don't have a guidebook on how to raise our children. Now, there are lots of books out there on how to do that. However, as you're learning how to guide your children, it's a step-by-step basis. And sometimes parents also need coaches, because as a parent, you are a leader. And so definitely that is a piece of the leadership coaching. I would like to invite you all today to something a little different. Yes, please still like this video. Please still share this video, and definitely comment below. But one thing that I want to do for you all today, this Friday, I am going to be presenting a free webinar on the 4 secrets to lead, and lead is an acronym. So if you're a parent who's wondering what kind of guidance that you can have in coaching or parenting your children, if you're looking at leading in that regard, if you're a leader in business and you're wondering what steps you should take to lead, if you are a leader and you have a team or a teen or someone out there who is following your direction, then I invite you to join me this Friday. I'm going to put a link in the comments when we get off. I am also going to put an advertisement on the page so that you all can sign up. It is a free webinar. Come on in. Space is limited, but I'd love to walk you through steps, the 4 secrets, the 4 steps on how to lead. And lead is an acronym. And lead anywhere. Lead at home, lead at business, and lead beyond. So I join you to come check me out. I'd love to see you. Thank you for joining me with Talks and Tea. I hope you enjoyed this moment where we talked about intuition and looking at what is pulling you to where you need to be to have a greater level of presence in the life of the teams that you're working with. This has been Talks and Tea with me, Tonya Nicole, and I enjoyed talking with you. This has just been my 2 cents. Peace.